In the March on Washington in 1963, the cry was jobs and justice. In the 20-year anniversary of the March on Washington, the cry was jobs and justice. We are now in 2010. And what is the cry? Jobs and justice. Well, wait a minute. How long? Not long. Are you going to sit around begging white people to do for us what we have the power to do for ourselves?
There have always been black Americans willing to fight and die for a country that enslaved, abused, and exploited them, and often didn't even see them as full human beings. The truth is, black Americans are the only ones who have ever made this country great. Even though they've been enslaved, abused, and discriminated against for centuries, they've never stopped fighting for their freedom and dignity. They've never stopped fighting for this country to live up to its grand ideals and promises of equality. This isn't DEI, and it isn't black history. This is American history, and it's the only history of this country that we can be proud of.
Wagwan, what's going on? Hope you are doing okay wherever you are. This video is only for educational purposes. Now, the video I'm going to react today is about white people. They are angry. They are not happy that black people ain't joining them on this battle that's going on. And the battle is to fight against the economic issues, fighting about the policies that are being put there by Donald Trump, starting with the hands-off protest where black people backed down and said, we ain't going to the street. And now, not all white people are happy. Of course, some white people, they are seeing this and saying that black people have been fighting for so long. We were not there for them. It's our time to fight. But a number of white people are like, oh, black people need to be here. Now, we all know black people have been fighting for so long. Since 1600s, 1800s, where black people are fighting for enslavement and freedom, abolishment of slavery, recognition of humanity, education, access. We came to 1865, 1900s, black people are fighting. 1900s, 1950s, Jim Crow law, black people are fighting. And you know, in 1950s, 70s, we have civil rights era. Black people are fighting, and each and every black people, they were not fighting for themselves alone. They were fighting for everybody. Even the rights that some white people have it's because of black people, because we know America is not for the weak. America is for the rich. The rights that middle class white people are enjoying and poor white people are enjoying, Latinos are enjoying, is because of black people fighting. And we are not saying that white people didn't fight. Of course, there are some white people who are allies, like William Lord Garrison, John Brown, you know, etc., etc. We have some white people who are allies, but not all of white people were allies. A number of them, they were not allies because they had this fear to lose the power and privilege, fear and insecurity, ignorance or denial. They had all these factors that were surrounding them to make them not support the fight of black people. But right now, they are not angry because black people are staying quiet. And I want you to watch this video. Watch it and then we'll come back here and talk about it.
You know, I have a worldview that is complicated in certain areas and very simplistic in others. The basis, the starting point, the foundation is very simple. I don't eat where I am not wanted. I do not congregate with those that hate me, and I will never break bread with someone who would stab me with a knife. Simple. Simple and plain. I will not eat where I am not wanted. I know there are people in spaces that hate what I say. I know it. I give them no quarter. I ask for none in return. I offer no forgiveness. And fuck them. forever. So I'm not eating with them people. Not. Don't ask me to come in and be nice. Don't ask me to come in and try to compromise. Don't ask me to come in and try to find common ground, because fuck you. You've already proven without a shadow of a doubt I can't trust you. So why in the fuck would I sit there and eat a meal in front of you where I got to worry about whether or not my food is poisoned? I do not go in spaces where I am not wanted. In this day and age, our politics have taken over every aspect of American society. Our politics have taken over every aspect of American society. And what we are finding out more and more is that far too many people are pussy. They are willing to get shit on as long as they're not the beneficiaries of the ire that would come if they stood up for themselves. So why in the fuck would I go in a room full of those people? Why? Why in the fuck would I go into a room full of people that think my way of dealing with bullies is wrong? It's counterproductive, or it doesn't give us and offer us a way forward. Fuck them people. And if I'm in a room with you and that's how you talking, I'm getting the fuck out. I don't want to be in that room. I do not want to be in that room. Everybody in there is a bunch of bitches, and I'm walking out the door. I will not break bread with anyone who would stab me with a knife. The current presidential administration has never liked people like me. In all of the aspects of my life, the current administration has never liked people like me. Black man. All of the things that they wanted to turn into some sort of negative stereotypes, I have turned them into the fuel that drives me. I am loud. I am boisterous. I wear big ass earrings in my ears. I paint my fucking fingernails. I fight for communities that are not just my own. And I stand 10 toes down on it. Money is not going to influence me. Status is not going to influence me. Being able to get into those enclaves is not going to influence me. The truth is the truth no matter what. So why in the fuck would I sit across the table from somebody who is against everything I stand for? We're gonna break bread so we can talk. Just to have this motherfucker stab me literally in my fucking face? No. What we are finding out, and what we have found out since November 5th of 2024, is far too many people are perfectly okay with falling down as long as they're the ones that don't get stepped on. This is a terrible fucking time for America. This is a terrible time. Because the fight against this shit is what makes history. The fight against these forces are what supposedly history of America was built on. Now, we know it's bullshit. We know it's bullshit. Having the most marginalized, having the most defenseless destroyed, that's what we really like. We love that America gets a hard on when it gets a chance to crush poor, marginalized people. It is America's biggest thing. But the myths we have been told is this: we stand up to the bullies. We stand up to the bullies. We're the ones that fight for the little guy. Is it any wonder that there are people who see that one of the biggest bullies is us, and they're standing up against them? And do you notice the fucking response that these people are getting? 10 Democrats voting to censure one of their own. Just like there were several Democrats that voted to censure Rashida Tlaib for using her First Amendment rights for believing and understanding the pain and suffering her own people were going through. Now, I ain't got no love for Rashida Tlaib because of everything that happened afterwards. But the fact that there were Democrats going, come on, let's vote against her because we got to get along. This is the new way. Fuck you. Al Green stood up there and told the absolute goddamn truth. Donald Trump doesn't have a mandate. Elon Musk doesn't have any goddamn government oversight to do the shit that he's doing. But we're all supposed to just go, okay, go on, just don't hurt me. The GOP reps and senators in the Senate and Congress are saying they're afraid of their own constituents because of physical violence. And the opposition party said, yeah, I'm afraid of them too. Give in to the mob. Give in to stupidity. Give in to the racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, transphobia, and ableism. Give in to it because it's a hell of a lot easier than standing your motherfucking ass up and taking a punch in your face. But in my approach, that's not leading us a path forward. Capitulation ain't a path forward. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If a bully walks up on you when you were in school and stole $1, which was all of your lunch money, don't you think that motherfucker tomorrow will come for two? And at some point, isn't it time for you to punch that motherfucker in the goddamn face, get your money back, and say, if you ever come anywhere near me, bitch, I'm gonna wake your ass up in the middle of the night and send you to Jesus? Ignorant people are running through social media. We're not even talking about regular print media, like the Ben Shapiro's and the Charlie Kirks. We ain't even talking about them. We're talking about just on social media. Every single fucking day, we have to stand up against the most ignorant motherfuckers on the planet who are basically, their only threat is, well, Trump won, you gotta suck his dick. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. You suck his dick. And then let me kick you in the back of your fucking head while you're doing it. So I'm going to say this one more time. I do not eat where I am not wanted. I will not go into rooms that do not want me there. And I will never break bread with a motherfucker that would stab me in the back or stab me with a knife. And if some of y'all are too fucking cowardly to stand up and fight for the absolute basic human rights that we all deserve, regardless of where we come from or the backgrounds we live in, then stand your ass on the porch. Stand on the porch. Because this is not going to be for the faint of heart. We are what, 3 months in, almost 3 months in? We have 4 years of this. Your hands gonna get bloody. You're gonna get tired. But if you give in, they will be taking shit from you from now on. So if somebody don't stand up and say something, there's gonna be some problems. I am Captain Misunderstandings and Furniture Moving. Because one of Ice Cube's best songs, you ain't gonna take my life. I'm never going to give it to you. You're gonna literally have to take me out to shut me the fuck up.
I'm 100% convinced that DEI programs are nothing more than the adult version of participation medals.
What I am about to say has to come with this disclaimer. Okay? If you know, you know. Say it again. What I'm about to say has to come with this disclaimer. If you know, you know. Unhinged, loud, and heavily armed, bearded white men are one of the biggest dangers to America. White men in general, unhinged, loud, perpetually wrong, and heavily armed white men are a threat to America. Now again, if you know, you know. What is understood does not have to be said. I ain't got to say it. I don't. If you know, you know. So I took that video that I made about Mr. Throat talking about DEI as a participation trophy. Took it over to YouTube, right? All right. Sure enough, I mean, it got some traction. Don't get me wrong. It's still getting traction. But in the comments section, there they are. Right there. Right there. Using the same catchphrases. I don't ever want to hear another motherfucking white man tell me shit about being in their feelings. Not after January 6, 2021, and the bitch moaning, piss moaning, and complaining that was done from January 6, 2021 up until this motherfucker was reelected and slandered or slug his snail-like ass back up into the goddamn White House. I don't want to hear another motherfucking thing about in their feelings. I don't. Y'all got a lawsuit from a white woman in the Supreme Court right now because she lost her fucking job to two people. One was gay, the other one was a lesbian, and she thinks it was discrimination against cis white people. So shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. I was on live with USMC Angry Veteran, aka Matt. I call him Matt. Y'all can call him that shit. Where he admitted this. That man has a beard. He looks like fucking Santa Claus. But he admitted it. We can't get any further in life because we got to keep coming back and picking up these motherfuckers. Do you know why Republicans in the fucking House and Senate won't stand up to Trump? Because they're afraid of these jackasses. These are the Civil War will happen again. The South will rise again, motherfuckers. You know them. See them all the time. The rational ones, they kind of stick out. They do. The irrational ones, come on. They end up becoming examples of what the fuck I'm talking about. And they always believe that their pew-pew and their balls will save the day. No, they won't. Other motherfuckers have pew-pews. Other people got nuts. Shit, there's some women with ovaries that got pew-pews that'll save the goddamn day before your dumb ass will. Matt said something yesterday that made so much fucking sense to me that I had to take a breath to hear it again. These white men are the foot soldiers and the greatest, fucking supporters of the status quo. Because it somehow makes them feel like they're doing something. Like, the other part of being one of these unhinged motherfuckers is this. No matter who tells them, no matter how it is told, no matter the proof that you show them, they think they're one good break away from being one of these rich motherfuckers. They think they are absolutely one good break away from being one of the motherfuckers that perpetually kick them in the fucking face. That's why they will sacrifice their wives, their children, their daughters, their sons, their mother and father. They will sacrifice everybody. Because if they acknowledge what the fuck was truly going on, put them goddamn pew-pews down and learned how to fucking fight for all of us, they might miss that opportunity. And all of these fucking little right-wing jackass fucking news sites and shit, they cater to these people. Think about this for just a second. It has been an established, known thing, an established factual thing, that white people were not slaves. That the Irish were not slaves. That when it came to white folks and other white folks with more money, it was always indentured servitude. How do we get to where we are right now? They couldn't get past slavery was so long ago. Well, bitch, the last slave died in so-and-so, 19 something something. You were never a slave. No, but I can trace my lineage back. Oh, well, I was never a slave owner. Bitch, nobody ever said that. Then he got to, well, you know, white people suffer racism too. These people, these men, have always looked at it from the standpoint of, if everybody can have it, then it ain't worth nothing. What they didn't realize is some of them ain't got it either. Out here arguing for some shit you won't even benefit from. Like, if you really told them to seriously take a look at yourself, take a look at your life, ask yourself this question: what the fuck do you have? What makes you think that because you wake up in a country that has been catering to rich motherfuckers that share your skin color doesn't mean you have shared in those benefits? They would look at your ass like you were speaking Klingon. And then when in doubt, when all logic has just beat them down, when everybody in society, and that includes the motherfuckers in their own ecosystem, have told them how incredibly wrong and fucked up their mindset is, where do they go? Violence. Violence. We've been having elections since forever. But this one time, their guy lost, and they couldn't take it. Y'all heard some of them motherfucking people? Cut their heads off. Storm the Capitol. I almost guarantee you it was a dude that shit in his hand and smeared it all over the walls. I guarantee you it was a dude. And white women, y'all facilitate this. Over and over again. You facilitate it. Instead of telling your man the truth. No, it wasn't a Mexican that stole your job. It wasn't a black man that's smoking a crack. No, honey, sweetheart, you're uneducated in this country, and the white men that you look up to, they don't fucking like you. They piss on your forehead every day, but you out here with a umbrella calling it rain. Like I said, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Let's just be honest about it.
There have always been black Americans willing to fight and die for a country that enslaved, abused, and exploited them, and often didn't even see them as full human beings. They thought that by fighting for their country, they could earn the equality promised in America's founding documents and preached by its founding fathers. In fact, one of the first people to give their life to the American Revolution was a black man named Crispus Attucks. Attucks is a fascinating figure in American history, and his name shows his unique origins. Both of his parents were enslaved. His father was black, his mother was Native American, and his name reflects these origins. The name Crispus was given to him by his slave owner, and like many names that enslavers chose, it comes from Roman history. Crispus was the name of one of the sons of the Roman Emperor Constantine. Attucks is derived from an indigenous word for deer. In 1750, Attucks escaped from slavery, and in 1770, he was living in Boston as a dock worker using the name Michael Johnson to avoid being discovered and captured. During this time, Boston was being occupied by 2,000 British soldiers, who were there to enforce the unpopular Stamp Act and control the rebellious American colonists. On March 5th, 1770, a group of colonists began harassing a British soldier and pelting him with rocks and snowballs. When he called for reinforcements, one of the soldiers opened fire, causing the rest to start shooting into the crowd. The soldiers ended up killing 5 colonists, with the first being Crispus Attucks. This came to be known as the Boston Massacre, and it played a key role in turning American sentiment against the British Empire and fueling the flames of revolution. The irony is that the first casualty of the American Revolution was an escaped slave, and once the colonists won their independence from Britain, they would create a country that continued slavery and continued to deny black Americans their fundamental human rights. Sometimes the Civil War is referred to as the Second American Revolution, and just like with the first, black Americans were on the front lines. In 1861, abolitionist George Stearns formed the Emancipation League to persuade President Lincoln that freeing the slaves had to be the primary goal of the Civil War. Stearns wrote a letter to Lincoln arguing that black soldiers were needed to ensure a Union victory, and Lincoln agreed. So in 1862, Stearns traveled all over the North and organized 10 black regiments, including the famous 54th Massachusetts Regiment. You might be familiar with their story from the iconic 1989 film Glory, starring Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington. In 1863, the abolitionist governor of Massachusetts, John Andrew, appointed Robert Shaw to train and lead the all-black regiment. The black abolitionist Frederick Douglass was one of the biggest recruiters of the 54th Regiment, and his 2 sons were among the first volunteers. Like other abolitionists, Douglass believed that it was critical to have black soldiers on the front lines in the war to end slavery. In 1863, Douglass said, "I know the colored men of the North. I know the colored men of the South. They are ready to rally under the stars and stripes at the first tap of the drum. Give them a chance. Stop calling them the N-word and call them soldiers." The 54th Regiment fought bravely at the Second Battle of Fort Wagner in South Carolina. Even though the unit was mostly destroyed and several of the black soldiers lost their lives, they helped to inspire more than 180,000 black Americans to fight for the Union, which Lincoln later admitted was critical to winning the war. Even though black soldiers fought for America over and over again, they were still treated with disrespect and open racism all the way into the 20th century. This was definitely the experience of a heroic group of black soldiers called the Harlem Hellfighters, who fought for their country during World War I. The Hellfighters started out as an all-black unit of National Guardsmen from Harlem, and during World War I they were sent to Europe to serve on the Western Front. However, the U.S. military would not let them fight alongside white soldiers, and they were only allowed to do manual labor. Eventually, the U.S. Army decided to give these black soldiers to the French. But before they did, they sent the French Army a secret bulletin about how to treat them. The message said, "Although a citizen of the United States, the black man is regarded by the white American as an inferior being, with whom relations of business or service are only possible. We must not eat with them, must not shake hands with them, or meet to talk with them outside of the requirements of military service." Even though the U.S. Army wanted the French to treat black soldiers as inferior, the French decided to put them on the front lines and let them fight. This is when those soldiers earned the name the Harlem Hellfighters, because of their bravery and courage. One of the most legendary figures from this unit was Henry Johnson, who fought and killed several German soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. The French awarded the Hellfighters with several medals for their service, but the U.S. government gave them nothing and refused to recognize their achievements and sacrifice. It wasn't until 2015 when Obama finally awarded Henry Johnson the Medal of Honor, even though Johnson had died 86 years earlier in 1929. The Harlem Hellfighters and other black soldiers risked their lives for their country to show that they deserved equal rights. When they got home, they felt like their service entitled them to live a life free of racism and discrimination. However, they received the exact opposite. Instead of coming home to a country that welcomed them and celebrated their service, they encountered one of the most violent periods of American racism, known as the Red Summer of 1919. All across the country, white people attacked and murdered black Americans for simply wanting their American dream. Black Americans were attacked for simply wanting a good-paying job or a neighborhood to live in where they felt safe. Instead of honoring black soldiers for their heroism, they became the prime target for violent racists. Black veterans were murdered with impunity because the mantra of the country was that black life did not matter. The U.S. military wasn't desegregated until 1948, which was only 77 years ago. And even though the country has made great progress since then, that progress is currently in danger of being erased and reversed. Recently, we've seen the Trump administration attacking any signs of diversity, equity, and inclusion in American life and in American history. Most disturbing is how U.S. government institutions have been purging their websites of any mention of black Americans or their service to this country. And now Trump has called for the Smithsonian and other museums to get rid of this history too. What we're witnessing is a full-on attack on American history and an attempt to whitewash our past and make it seem like black Americans played no part in making this country great. But the truth is, black Americans are the only ones who have ever made this country great. Even though they've been enslaved, abused, and discriminated against for centuries, they've never stopped fighting for their freedom and dignity. They've never stopped fighting for this country to live up to its grand ideals and promises of equality. This isn't DEI, and it isn't black history. This is American history, and it's the only history of this country that we can be proud of.
I've heard that. And tell me in the comment section, do you agree with that? Because a lot of black people are backing down on the fight that's going on, whether the policies is affecting them or it's not affecting them. They ain't doing anything. And I know this is too bad to white, because they expected black people to show up, because black people have been showing up to these battles, to this protest, using their body in the front line. So every punch that is coming, it is hitting them fast. White people did not head it bad. Now, as I said when I started the video, black people have been fighting all along. And the fight, we all know some of the policies that are being abolished right now, or some of the freedom that people in America are enjoying, is because of the fight black people or black Americans struggles for it. When you talk about abolition of slavery, freedom from bondage and end of slavery, when you talk about recognition of humanity, when you talk about access to literacy and basic education, fighting to keep or find family members sold or separated by slavery, we came on civil rights, land and economic independence, that's being called 40 acres and a mule promise, which was never fulfilled. In 1950s, Jim Crow and resistance, desegregation, fighting against legal racial segregation, voting policy, labor rights, coming to 1950s, 1970s, equal access to public service, end of systematic racism, representation, police accountability. We came to 1980s to 2000s, new challenge, and all struggles were there still. Mass incarceration, fighting against the war on drugs and prison industrial complex, economic equity, access to job, fair housing. Black people have been fighting all these years. Even 2010, just present, black people have been still fighting. Modern civil rights movement, Black Lives Matters, criminal justice reform, environmental justice, educational justice, reparations, mental health and awareness. Black people have been on this fight. And when we talk about mental health awareness, it's not affecting black people only. It's affecting each and every race that is in the United States. But as we know, some white people, most of them, higher percentage, they have been not supporting these fights. We know there have been allies. We cannot deny that. There have been allies. And but you cannot be only one ally and change everything. You need the whole race to support it. But the white could not support this because of the power and privilege. Because racism benefited white people in material ways. The wealth gap was because of this. Historically and still today, they are still benefiting from, the privilege from the racism, including access to jobs, access to better schools, access to housing, and even safety from police. They are still benefiting for this. They could not fight these battles because if you are fighting against this, that means you want to lose these privileges. And one of the things a lot of white people will not want to do is to lose the white privilege. White privilege is so good. White privilege is so sweet. Getting what you don't deserve, accessing places you don't deserve, getting jobs you don't deserve, going to schools you don't deserve, getting papers you don't deserve because of privilege. In Swahili we say, kibinadamu huwezi kubali. In English we say, in a human way you cannot accept. As a human being, you can't accept to lose this privilege. When black people are fighting to end police brutality, when they were fighting to have access to education, some white people, they fear to lose that because some people don't want to give up. They don't want to give up on that. Even if it's unfair, supporting equality can feel like losing something, and they don't want to lose that something. I know we all understand that, and we all agree with that. Why they didn't fight? Because of fear and insecurity. Some white people have feared that what will happen if black people become strength more than them? What will happen if black people gain full equity or equality? What will happen if black people get full access to better health, better education, and etc., to better jobs? Fearing of revenge, losing control, or just change in general. They fear to be equal to black people, because if black people get full equality or full equality, with their revenge, will we lose our position? Will we be castrated? What will happen? But as I know, black people ain't about revenge. Ain't on this about revenge. The politician and media have often played on those fears, painting movement for justice as dangerous or radical. And that's why a lot of white people, they never supported BLM movement. I have seen videos where white people saying automatically, we never supported. Even some black people never supported this, those who are upper class. They fear to lose the privilege. That's why they didn't fight this battle. And right now, they want black people to go on the street for them. They want black people to join them. Hell no, it's not happening. That's what most of the black people are saying. Let's relax, strategize, stay home, watch movies, eat your popcorns. We ain't going anywhere. We're not moving. Do anything you want to do. Erase the history. Remove BLM. We ain't moving, because whenever we were fighting for you ignored it. You ignored the fight you were fighting because of the stories you are being told that this fight is dangerous. It is coming to overrule you. It is becoming to do what you bought that stereotype. Right now it is eating you up, and you want us to come to the street again? We ain't doing that. Now, many white people were or are still taught sanitized version of history, that slavery wasn't that bad, that racism is over, or that everyone has equal opportunity now. And some think that racism means only being mean to people, not understanding it's also systems and structure. So they don't want to go on that fight, or they didn't go to that fight. Other thing that made white people not to go on fight is because of guilty or discomfort. Conversation about race is tough on them. They feel guilty, so they don't want to talk about it, because some of them were guilty, really guilty. They were racist. They don't want to engage on that stories. There is a number of times black people have been on the street and they needed help of white people. They never got it. Few white people joined them, and it could not change anything, because when white people are the majority in America and only 10% of them are supporting, or 1 or 2 people are supporting, it doesn't change anything. What changes is that if we all white people fight to change the system, and you know what? The system changing, it means that you will be losing some privileges, and that's what they don't want. Now, right now, America is on the not in the safe hands. And if you have come across social media, MAGA are complaining, white people are complaining, Latinos are complaining, blacks are complaining, because it's not on the safe hands. And the only people who can have the energy to go fight this, the only people who have tried to fight about this and they won, is black people. Black people are needed on the street. Black people are needed to talk about this. Black people are needed to talk about the economic disaster. Black people are needed to talk about what's going on. But you know what? Black people have decided we are quiet. And some white people are not happy with that. They are angered. They are raged because black people ain't joining them. Now, tell me what you think on the comment section about this video. Are you thinking of joining this fight? Do you think it is fair if black people just stay home and relax? Or do you think black people, we should go out and fight this battle and help whites to fight for the country? But I don't see the reason, because if our history is being erased, that means they don't want us here. Erase that statement. But if our history is being deleted, that means something else. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Until next episode, peace out.